Inside an abandoned warehouse, a group of villains sits around a table, poker chips and stolen cash spread between them. One of them shuts down a suggestion immediately, muttering that, "It's so chaotic in Gotham," warning that even if a job works, the only downside is you get caught. You'll be in traction for 6 months. The room grumbles in agreement. Gotham isn't worth the broken bones. Someone casually asks about Metropolis, but Puppeteer waves it off while sipping his beer. He admits it's not Superman that worries him, saying, "It's all the other stuff. Monsters, aliens, giant robots." He paints a grim picture of cracking a safe 1 second and getting flattened by a massive foot the next. Goldface brightens the mood by suggesting Coast City, calling it great, and Bug-Eyed Bandit eagerly agrees. He points out that the Green Lanterns are usually off saving the galaxy, even adding Hub City to the list since its heroes aren't too powerful and care more about organized crime than simple theft. When Fadeaway Man quietly looks at his cards and drops the bombshell, he says he's heard Central City is tough, but that's all hype. The table goes silent. Every villain stares at him in disbelief. Goldface finally breaks the tension, shaking his head and snapping that Central City is the worst of all, while Minddancer scoffs, asking if anyone can believe this guy. Goldface leans forward, cards forgotten, and tells him flatly that it's time someone explains a few things. Goldface starts explaining why Central City is off limits, asking if anyone has ever wondered why big-name criminals never operate there. He reminds them that even monsters like the Joker stay away, because once upon a time the clown thought Central City would be an easy score. Joker rolled in confidence, Joker Venom ready. Standing atop a building and greeting the city like a performer stepping onto a stage, boasting that his first live performance was about to begin and that it would be a gas. The story barely gets that far before Goldface describes how everything went wrong. Just as the gas began to spread, the Scarlet Speedster arrived. Flash tore through the city in seconds, racing straight up the building and never giving Joker time to react. Goldface emphasizes that the Flash didn't fight him the way other heroes might. He simply overwhelmed him, circling at impossible speed and turning Joker's own gas against him. By the time Joker realized what was happening, Flash had already launched him out of Central City, spinning him so fast that he was blasted back toward Gotham without a second chance. Goldface finishes the story by stressing the point. The scariest villain on the planet learned, in one terrifying moment, that Central City was a no-go zone, and he never came back. Minddancer cuts in, clearly unimpressed, saying that the Joker's story is nothing compared to what happened to Condiment King. She explains that he tried to rob the main bank in Central City and didn't even make it past the front lobby. Condiment King burst into loud and confident shouting, "Let us catch up to the scenario. I'm robbing this bank of all its cheeses and—" That confidence lasted only seconds. Minddancer describes how Flash appeared almost instantly, and before Condiment King could finish his sentence, everything went white. One moment he was standing in a bank, and the next he was standing alone in the middle of a scorching desert. When Condiment King finally understood where he was, all he could manage was a defeated, muttered, "Poop." Minddancer ends the story by pointing out that it took Condiment King nearly a year to make it back home. Fadeaway Man still isn't convinced, brushing the stories off like exaggerations and telling everyone to relax. That's when Bug-Eyed Bandit snaps back, asking if he's ever actually run into Flash's kids. The table goes quiet for a beat before Puppeteer leans in. "Oh, don't get me started. I saw them once." Puppeteer talks about the boy first, the one they call Surge, describing him as strong enough to rival Superman. He recalls watching Surge lift a full-grown giant over his head and casually throw him across the water, skipping him along the surface while the giant screamed with every bounce. Then Puppeteer mentions the girl, Thunderheart, saying she's even worse. She doesn't just hit you once, she hits you again and again, faster than you can react. And when she's done, she humiliates you by giving you a wedgie, just because it makes her giggle. Goldface piles on, explaining that it's not just one Flash you have to worry about in Central City. There's the Old Man Flash, Kid Flash, and another Flash on top of that. He compares the place to sticking your hand into a nest of bees and expecting to steal honey without getting stung. Central City and Keystone are crawling with speedsters, and sooner or later, one of them will notice you. Minddancer then brings up an even scarier example, asking if anyone's heard of Mordru, a powerful wizard from another world who can jump through time, space, and dimensions. According to Minddancer, Mordru once popped into Central City just to check it out, confident that his magic made him untouchable. The confidence didn't last long. He describes Mordru encountering a little girl on the street, and somehow, absurdly, she sticks her tongue out at him. Offended and arrogant, Mordru clearly thought he was untouchable. He'd taken the kid's sucker, mocked her, and even stuck his tongue out, convinced no one could challenge him. In his mind, he was already asking himself, "Who's going to stop me?" Down the street, though, the Flash was already there. Arms crossed, calm, and unimpressed. Minddancer describes how the Flash didn't rush or shout, just slowly wagged a finger, like someone silently saying you shouldn't have done that. That alone was enough to rattle Mordru. Panicking, the wizard did what he did best. He jumped to another dimension, vanishing in a flash of magic. For a moment, it looked like he'd escaped. Minddancer leans in as she tells it, saying Mordru probably thought he was safe, smiling to himself in another reality. Mordru's relief didn't last long. Just when the wizard thought he'd finally escaped, the truth hit him. He wasn't safe. No matter where Mordru jumped, no matter how far across time or reality he ran, the Flash kept finding him. Dimension after dimension, escape after escape, it didn't matter. Mordru could bend space, tear through realities, but it still wasn't enough. By the end of it, the message was clear: you can't outrun the Flash. Minddancer says it finally ended at the very edge of existence itself, the end of the universe, where time breaks down and reality is still being formed. Mordru stood there alone, convinced that no one could possibly follow him any further. Then he heard a quiet sound behind him, an almost polite ahem. The Flash was standing there, smiling like this was the most normal thing in the world. Mordru froze as the Flash calmly reached out, not to attack, not to threaten, but to reclaim what was stolen. All that effort, all that cosmic power, all of that running, just to return a little girl's sucker. After that moment, Mordru didn't fight. He just sat there, broken, covering his face. Minddancer finishes quietly. She says, "Mordru was never the same after that." The table erupts all at once. Every villain except Fadeaway Man shouts in disbelief, a chorus of stunned reactions spilling out at the same time. Fadeaway Man waves it off, insisting it can't be true, arguing that the rogues operate in Central City all the time and live to tell the tale. Puppeteer calmly responds that this says more about the rogues than anyone else, admitting he personally thinks they're insane. Bug-Eyed Bandit then explains why Central City is different. Batman might break bones, Superman might throw you into Iron Heights, but the Flash will talk to you. He'll give you a chance, and somehow that makes it worse. Being reminded that you could be better. Fadeaway Man laughs it off, convinced everyone is exaggerating. He proudly announces that the money on the table came straight from a bank in downtown Central City, right next to the Flash Museum, and shows off the bag as proof. The room goes dead silent. No one laughs. No one argues. Minddancer suddenly explodes. She shouts, "You did what?" Chaos breaks out instantly. Chairs scrape, money is grabbed, and panic takes over. Goldface mutters that it's too late and they're headed for Iron Heights. Puppeteer wonders if they can still get out. Then the knock comes. Everything stops. The sound alone drains the color from their faces. Goldface quietly says, "It's him." Minddancer tries to comfort him. Puppeteer looks up in defeat. "We're too late." Fadeaway Man, still smiling, walks towards the door. "You people are wild." Convinced it's just the pizza he ordered from Lex Eats. Fadeaway Man grips the handle, telling everyone to relax and stop being paranoid. Confident there's nothing to worry about, he swings the door open. The Flash stands there in the doorway, calm, relaxed, smiling. He looks past Fadeaway Man at the room full of criminals frozen in place and casually says, "Hey guys, mind if we have a little chat?" Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to this channel.